Hi students, hope everyone is fine and safe. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to my new video, and today's video is about another interesting topic in 8051 microcontroller. We're going to see timer programming. We have already seen what is timers, how they perform as a timer and counter, what are the different modes of operation of timers, how to program a timer, and we already seen how to generate a square wave using timer programming. Right? In this video, we're going to see how to program a timer in mode 1, right? And to generate a square wave in mode 1 programming. That is what we're going to see. And before starting this video, I would recommend you people to go and watch the previous videos about timers, its modes of operation, the programming of timers, so that you can easily understand this video, right? So before stepping into this video, we will just see what is mode 1 operation. We know that mode 1 operation we will use TH and TL register, the complete 16-bit register, right? In different modes, right? In mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, the only difference is the number of bits in the registers, right? And we normally use mode 1 register because only in mode 1 we can able to create maximum number of delays, right? And that is why, because we will have TH and TL register, that is we will have 8-bit TH register and 8-bit TL register, so the complete 16-bit register we will use, right? So what is the operation of mode 1? We know that we will have an internal oscillator, right? And the timer frequency, how will we calculate the timer frequency? We have to divide the oscillator frequency by 12, right? And we know that if we are going to use as a timer, then C by T is equal to 0, right? If you don't understand these basic informations, just go through the previous video so that you will understand why is that C by T is 0, right? Why is that we're using internal oscillator and all those things, right? So we'll get the internal oscillator signal here, and we will use TR0 or TR1. If you are using timer 0, then it will be TR0, and if it is timer 1, we'll use TR1, right? And for every clock pulse, what will happen? It will increase this particular register, right? So if we say that TH register is separate and TL register is separate, first what it will do is it will start counting, increasing the TH register, and once the TH register reaches the maximum value, the TL register will start increasing, right? Or else we can also say that the complete 16-bit, right? It will start from 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and it will reach the maximum value of FFFF, right? And after FFF, once again it will reset to 0, that is it will roll back to 0, right? At that time overflow will happen, which means after reaching this FFF and it roll back to 0, right, it will enable this TF flag. What is TF flag? Once again, TF flag will be TF0 or TF1, timer overflow flag. If you are using timer 0, it will be TF0, and if you are using timer 1, it will be TF1. So the interrupt will be enabled. This is the normal operation of mode 1, right? And now what we are going to do is we are going to see how we can configure timer in mode 1 operation to generate a square wave, right? So before going to that programming, right, I'll just refresh the basics again, because in order to program the timer, right, we know that we have to configure tmod register, tcon register, and also we have to feed the count value, right? We have 4-5 steps which is very important. The first thing is you have to configure the tmod register, in which mode we have to work, and then we have to configure tcon register to check which timer we're going to use. Then we have to feed the TH and TL value, right? You know that what is TH and TL value? That is where the timer overflow will like only if those registers reaches the maximum value, the timer overflow flag will happen, right? So then what we have to do is we have to feed TH value and TL value, and then we have to start the timer, and then once the timer reaches the maximum value, it has to enable the TF flag, and once the TF flag is enabled, we have to stop the timer. And once again, what we have to do is we have to do the same operation to generate the square wave. So all these operations which we have already discussed, right? But I'll just refresh this basics again here. First thing is we know that what is tmod register and what is tcon register. In TMOD register, you know that this is timer 0 and timer 1, right? And probably in every program we normally select only mode 1 operation. That is because we can able to create maximum number of delays, right? And we know that if it is mode 1, we have to make this as 0 1, right? This bit 0 1, right? And if it is, we are going to use timer 0, what we have to do, we have to select this particular bit, right? So it is 0 0 0 0 0 0, right? So now what is this? We have configured tmod register for mode 1 operation, right? That is, we are going to use timer 0, so we are choosing this one. If you're going to use timer 1, what we have to do, we have to change this bit, right? This will be 0 and this will be 1. We've already seen this, correct? And also, if you're using timer 0, then what we have to do, then tr bit, right? Remember, I have said here, this is the tr bit, right? Now we have configured this one. Now we have to, what we have to do is we have to make this tr 0, right? We have to enable this tr 0 because we are selecting timer 0. So this bit will be 1 and everything, all other will be 0. Now what we have done, we have configured tcon register and as well as tmod register. Remember one thing, to configure tcon register, right here, what we have to do is we have to just feed this information 0 0 0 0 0 0 0, right? So if you see the previous video, we have generated a square wave by just feeding this information immediately to the tcon register. So the tcon register will be configured for this particular timer 0, right? We can also do this by this way, or what we can do is we can just set, we have to enable this only one bit, right? So what we can do is we can directly give an instruction also, set b tr0, we can do that, right? So we can also do in that way also, right? So this is very important to configure it. And as soon as we configure this timer, this timer register, what we have to do is we have to give the count value, right? So we know that how to find out the count value, right? This is the formula which we have discussed, right? Count is equal to ffffh minus value plus 1, right? So if, like, now if it is a normal count program where there will be a count value, so that we can directly subtract that and then we will find out the exact count, right? But for a square wave or to generate any particular waves, here what we will do is we will go to this basic. We know that, say for example, we are using a crystal oscillator frequency of 11.0592, right? How will you find out the timer clock frequency? All we have to do is we have to divide this by 12, right? That is what we normally do, timer's clock frequency. So 11.0592 divided by 12, we will get this value. And if you want to find out the time period, 1 divided by this value, so that you will get this 1.085, right? So now what we obtain is we will obtain the clock time period, the complete time period, right? Now, but what we have to know is we have to know this value to find out the clock. So how will you do it? Now what we will do is, say for example, if you are going to generate a square wave, right? A square wave for every 0.5 microseconds, 0.5 milliseconds, right? So now what we have to do is we need to find out the count value, right? So how will we find the count value? We know that this is the total time period, but we need 0.5 milliseconds, right? So for 0.5 divided by this value, right? 1.085, so that you will get one particular value here, right? Some hexadecimal value, right? So now what we have to do is that value we have to subtract here, so that we will obtain the count. So after obtaining the count, what we can do is we can obtain what is TH0 and what is TL0. For example, you can see here if the count value is 9, right? So what we can do is FFFF minus 9 plus 1, we will get this particular value, where this is TH register value FF and F7 will be TL0 value. Clear? All these are very basics. So what we have done is we have done tmod register, we have configured tmod register, we have configured tcon register, and also we have obtained the TH value and TL value. And all we have to do now is we have to feed this information to the timer and we have to start the timer, right? And if this value is given, right, for every clock cycle, what will happen is it will increase the count value, and until it reaches the maximum value, right, it will continues, and after reaching the maximum value it will enable the interrupt, right, so that we will be able to generate the square wave, right. So that is what we're going to see in program now, the same operation which we discussed, right. So whatever I said right now, that is the steps to configure the timer in mode 1 operation. You can see here, the first thing is we're going to use a 16-bit timer. We know that TH0 and TL0, right? That is going to be 8-bit and 8-bit. So it is a 16-bit timer. That is the timer 0, it is 16-bit timer normally. In the 8051, the timer is alone a 16-bit, right? And we know that it allows the value from 00 to FFFH, and this value is loaded in the TH and TL register, right. And whenever this TL register, right, TL register, TH register overflows, then what will happen is it will enable this TF flag, which I already said, right. And as I said, to configure the TCON register, we have given a value 0001 and 0000. We can also do this one, or else what we can do is we can use this particular instruction set B TR0, which enables the timer 0 TR0 bit, right. If you are using TR1, what we can do is we can use this instruction, right. So by loading the initial value, we are setting the timer, whether we are going to use the timer 0 or timer 1 by using this instruction, right. And once we start the timer, what will happen is it will start from the count value, right. So it will continue until it reaches this particular value, correct, right. So until it reaches this particular value, it will continues, and after reaching this particular value, it enables this TF flag, right. That is TF0 here, right. We are using timer 0, right. And now what will happen when the overflow happens? It enables the TF flag, as I said, right. It can be TF0 or TF1, but in this scenario we are going to use TF0, right. And once the timer 0 flag, that is the timer TF flag is enabled, what will happen is we have to close the timer, that is stop the timer. How will you stop the timer? Once again, how we have enabled the timer here, we have set the timer 0, right, set B TR0. Similarly, we can clear that particular bit, clear TR0 or clear TR1, right. So if you are using timer 0, it will be CLR TR0, and if it is timer 1, it will be CLR TR1, right. And once after the TF is enabled, right, and the timer is stopped, we have to reset the complete operation, right, so that it produces the next count, that is it will repeat the same process, right. So what we have to do is we have to reload the TH and TL value here, right. So for the next operation, we have to once again reset the TF to 0, and then we have to reload TH and TL, and the same operation continues, correct. This is the normal operation for programming the timer in mode 1, right. So you can see here, first load the Tmod value, right, and then select either T0 or T1, right. By loading the Tmod value, we can able to select timer 0 or timer 1, right. And similarly the TL and TH value as we discussed, and then start the timer, right. And now what will happen is this operation has to continue until this TF flag becomes 1. TF flag becomes 1. So what we will do is we will repeat the operation. I have already explained this particular step in previous videos, right. So what we have to do is it will continuously monitor this particular TF flag. So what is the operation which we'll use? Jump if not bit. What is jump not bit? If this is not set, right, if this is not set, then it will loop into the same direction, right. So until if TF0 is 1, it will be looping in the same instruction. It will be continuing the same loop again and again, and once this bit is set, it will be coming out of that loop and it will stop the timer, correct, right. It will stop the timer, and then for next round what we have to do is we have to make TF0 again, and then again THTL we have to load, and the same operation repeats, correct. This is what we have seen, right. Now we will see the program, right. You can see this is the question. In the following program, we create a square value of square wave of 50% duty cycle, right? That is equal portion, half high and uh, with equal proportions of high and low, right? And we have to select the pin on P15 bit, right? So they have given you have to use timer 0 to generate. Every operation is going to be same operation, right? Now they have not given the frequency, the oscillator frequency, right? So what we can do is we can take a random value for configuring TL and TH0, right? It's up to your wish here, right? So now you can see here first instruction tmod register 01. Remember what is 01? We are going to use timer 0, right? So if you're using timer 0, then tmod register. The first step is we have to load the tmod value to the register, right? So you can see the same steps we are going to write in programs. That's all, right? So instead of writing 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, I'm just writing at 0, 1. So this will be loaded in the tmod register, which will be configured for timer 0, right? And now I'm going to load the values for TH0 and TL0. Here no frequency is given, so I'm giving a random value, which is F2 for TL0 and FF for TH0, right? And I have to use this particular pin, which is P15, to generate the square wave in that particular pin. So what I'm doing is I'm just complementing that pin, right? What this operation will do, if it is 0, it will make that pin to 1. If it is 1, it will make that pin to 0, right? Now this is the common operation which we normally do, right? These three operation is select the timer, then load TH value, TL value, right? And here we are toggling this pin. Either if it is in lower mode, if it is 0, we are making it high. If it is high, we are making it low, right? Now we have to generate the square wave, right? So how will we do that? You can see here the next operation is A call, right? You know, we have already seen what is A call operation, right? It's a branching operation. Now it will switch to this particular loop. That is, it has to go branch to this particular address, delay, right? So we'll go to delay. You can see this is the delay operation, right? So how we can able to generate? Now what we can do is we have set the tmod register, right? We have loaded the values. All we have to do is we have to start the timer, right? So we are doing is setb tr0, right? You know what is tr0? We are enabling the timer 0 bit, tr bit, right? So if it is enabled, it will start the timer, right? Now for every clock cycle, the timer, what will happen? The timer will start increasing its value, right? And this will continue until it reaches the maximum value, right? And once it reaches the maximum value, what will happen? It will enable the TF flag. We know that, right? So until this condition, we have to loop the same operation, right? The timer has to continue the same operation. So how we can do that? By using this particular operation, jump if not bit, right? So if TF0 bit, right, if it is not set, then we have to loop again and again, right? It has to loop to the again. Again is nothing but the same location. It will be looping to the same location, right? Until this bit is set. So when it will be set, when it reaches the maximum value FFF, TF will become 1. And when it becomes 1, this condition does not satisfy, and it will go to the next instruction. What is the next instruction? Now what happens? This becomes 1, right? Overflow happen. If overflow happen, the timer has to be stopped, right? So what we are doing is we are stopping the timer. So you can see it is stopping the timer, and then we are resetting this TF flag, and then we are going to return to the main instruction, right? So this operation will generate the square pulse, right? A positive square pulse, right? Now what happens? After TF0, we are resetting it, and we are going to RET. RET is nothing but return instruction. So return instruction, it will go back here, right? It will go back to return instruction. That is the same cycle again, right? So it will return to the main program here. You can see here, if it goes delay here, so the main program will be returned here, right? This is the next instruction. So SJMP. So what is the next operation here? It has to jump to here location, which is nothing but it starts from move tmod 01. You know that what is the same operation will do, right? So now once again the tmod register, it's already loaded. All this operation is loaded. you can see here CPL. What CPL will do? It will complement, right? So if we have already created a positive cycle, and now the CPL again, what it will do is it will go to the lower condition, right? The lower state, and in lower state it will generate a square pulse. Like that, the operation will repeat, right? So all you are doing is you are configuring the TMOD register, and you are loading TH and TL value. You are setting the timer until it reaches the maximum value, and then you are resetting it, and then you are once again you're complementing that particular pin, because we have to do the same operation to create the negative pulse. So it is complemented, and we are creating a square wave in the other side, right? So whatever I said, that is given in this particular explanation, right? You can see here the delay is nothing but it will go to the subroutine, right? This is the subroutine which speak about, right? And then it will execute this instruction, and it will continue until it reaches this maximum value. And once this is continued, it will roll back to this particular 000, and if it is rolled back to 000, it will enable TF flag. Once TF flag is enabled, timer 0 is stopped, right? So this is the same operation, right? But very specifically, what we have seen is we have seen what is mode 1 programming, right? So in this video, what we have seen is we have seen how to configure the timer in mode 1 programming to generate a square wave, right? I believe this video will be very useful for you. Thank you, my dear students.